Hello everyone and welcome to Mythstory, the show where we talk about myths from around the globe. For today's show, we're going to be talking about one of the most interesting religions in the Far East, Japanese mythology. Popular culture has been known to portray Japan as somewhat of a fantasy land, a nation where everyone is wearing kimonos and the samurais fight ninjas in the streets. All this is very stereotypical, but this is a view of Japan people really used to hold, albeit somewhat exaggerated. Japanese mythology embraces aspects of Shintoism and Buddhism, but the religions in the area share many common folk myths. That will be the basis for this video. The myths and legends of Japan differ from the other mythologies we've covered because they give an account for the origin of the Imperial family. But of course, you can't have an Imperial family without the origin of the universe. So let's begin from the beginning. Creation. In the beginning, heaven and earth were not yet separated, and the Yo and In were still together. This corresponds to the Chinese yin and yang. These are the female and male principles, respectively. The In and Yo formed a mass, like an egg. This egg expanded, and the clear, pure part became the heavens, while the heavier mass on the inside became the earth. A god emerged from this, named Kuni Tokotachi, the creator deity. This god created many other gods, but some of the most important ones were Izanagi and Izanami, meaning male who invites and female who invites. These two deities stood out on a floating bridge between heaven and earth and looked into the abyss. They wondered if there was anyone down there. They took a spear and dipped it in the water below. When they pulled the spear out, a drop came down and created an island when it came in contact with the water. Izanagi and Izanami decided to search this island, so they split up and headed in opposite directions. When they met up again, Izanami said she had met up with a lovely youth. Instead of being excited, Izanagi was mad that the female had spoken first, and suggested they walk around again. The next time they met up, Izanagi said he had met a lovely maiden. Shortly after this, they were married. They gave birth to Amaterasu, the sun goddess, and Tsukiyumi, the moon god. They were both sent up the ladder of heaven and took control of the skies. Soon after, Amaterasu deemed the moon god to be wicked and never wanted to see his face again, so they were separated and called day and night. Izanami then gave birth to the god of fire, Kagutsuchi. This birth made her very ill, and she crept into the land of Yomi, the underworld. When Izanagi went down to rescue her, it was dark and she had been turned hideous. So she pleaded with him not to look at her. He ignored her wish, and when he looked upon her, he was terrified. She felt ashamed and sent 8 demons to chase him down. He fled into the darkest regions of the underworld. He quickly dropped his headdress, and it turned into a pile of grapes. The demons stopped and began to eat of the fruit. Izanami decided to pursue Izanagi herself, and when they met, Izanagi quickly asked for a divorce. She said she would slay all humans if this happened, but this didn't faze Izanagi. He said he would create 1,500 at once. This must have been the end of it, because the next time we hear of Izanagi, he had created an abode of gloom for himself, where he dwelt forever in silence and concealment. Yorimasa. A long time ago, an emperor became ill. He couldn't sleep at night because of the loud noises he heard coming from the roof. The emperor had his servants keep watch both outside and inside the palace. The ones on the outside saw a dark cloud every night, a cloud that would seem to grow gigantic claws. The ones on the inside heard loud scratching every night. The emperor's illness would get progressively worse after each visit from this nocturnal creature, and his court decided they had to kill the beast. The court chose the great warrior Yorimasa to be the one to save the emperor. He gathered his bow, sword, and headdress, and stayed in hiding just outside the palace, waiting for nightfall. The weather kept getting worse with thunder, lightning, and strong winds, but this didn't deter Yorimasa. At midnight, he saw the cloud over the palace and ran out from hiding. He saw that this cloud had 2 red eyes, so Yorimasa pulled out his bow and shot it with an arrow. There was a roar of anger, and the monster tumbled from the rooftop and hit the ground. Yorimasa ran to gather the monster's corpse. He saw that it had the head of an ape, the body and claws of a tiger, the tail of a serpent, the wings of a bird, and the scales of a dragon. From the very moment the creature died, the emperor's health improved, and he ordered its skin to be kept in the treasure vault in the palace. Yorimasa was then awarded with a great sword called Shishiwo, King of Lions. He was finally promoted at the court and married the most beautiful maiden at the imperial court. The Mirror of Matsuyama. In ancient times, in a remote part of Japan, there lived a man, his wife, and their daughter. One day, the man was called away on a business trip. Before he left, he told his daughter that if she were good to her mother, he would bring back a special present. Finally, he left. When he finally came home, he sat down and opened up a bamboo basket. He took out a wonderful doll and a box of cakes and put them into his daughter's hands. He reached back into the basket and pulled out a metal mirror. It shined brightly and had pine trees and storks engraved on the back. He handed this mirror to his wife. His wife had never seen a mirror before, and when she looked into it, she thought another woman was staring back at her. She gazed in wonderment, and her husband explained the mystery and told her to take great care of the mirror. Soon after, the woman became very ill, and before she died, she said to her daughter, "Dear child, when I am dead, take every care of your father. You will miss me when I have left you. But take this mirror, and when you feel most lonely, look into it, and you will always see me." Having said these words, she passed away. In due time, the father remarried, and his new wife was very mean to his daughter. She remembered her mother's words and looked into the mirror, always seeing her mother's face. One day, her stepmother saw her in a corner, murmuring to herself, but didn't see what was in her hand. The stepmother was afraid she was engaging in witchcraft and trying to kill her, so she went to her new husband and told him what she had saw. He believed every word and went to his daughter to confront her. When she spotted him, she quickly hid the mirror in her sleeve. Worried that she was actually practicing witchcraft, he angrily asked her what she had hidden in her sleeve. She told him that it was the mirror he had given to her mother, and she was gazing at it to see her face. Her father understood, and when he told his new wife, she felt embarrassed. She apologized to the girl, and they made their amends. And they lived happily ever after. Japanese mythology is filled with stories that clearly show how important their culture was to them. Many stories deal with similar themes just to stress the importance of people, places, and things. Thanks for watching this episode of Mythstory on Japanese mythology. Make sure to like and subscribe, and tell us what mythology you want us to cover next in the comments below. And if you really love us, consider supporting us on Patreon. We'll see you next time.